In our 2017 interview, Corey, we touched somewhat on Battlefield Earth, so maybe we can talk about it again. And that is, I believe you're one of the co-writers on the movie. Can you explain what happened and also help explain to other screenwriters maybe what could possibly happen to them?
Sure. Thanks for bringing that up. No.
Oh, sure, yeah. I'm here to open old wounds, yeah.
So I'll walk you through sort of what happened and how it happened. But then, with your permission, I want to back up and sort of talk about a more important aspect to it. So what happened is I felt like I was so unlucky out of the gate. Well, no, I felt incredibly fortunate. I sold this pitch. Ridley Scott was going to make it. He almost made it, but then there was just all this crazy stuff with German investment, studio politics, just all this stuff that had nothing to do with me or the script. It didn't get made. Two projects later, I have a director of a greenlit movie, studio greenlit movie, director in Africa, scouting locations. And then the head of the studio lost his job. The new person came in and shut down all of the projects that the previous person had greenlit. So that now it was dead. And I could go on, I had 5 projects in the first 5 years that were greenlit, but didn't get made. And so I just thought God hates me, and I'm the unluckiest person in the world. And then I met more and more writers who had the exact same stories, and I realized, oh, it's not that God hates me, God hates writers. And it's just, this is just the nature of the beast. Now, so what happened is, the last time I'd written a script that almost got made, but the star backed out. And it's just so clear you need a star to get it over the finish line. So I got a call from my agent saying that they wanted to meet you at MGM. John Travolta was a huge star at the time, for Battlefield Earth. So I want you to go take the meeting. Do not say yes, do not take the project, but meet John Travolta and his producing partner. These are good relationships, and you're going to meet the head of the studio, head of MGM. So I went in and took the meeting, and they told me what I wanted to hear, and I wanted to hear it. And they told me, this has nothing to do with Scientology. We had a writer from Scientology, and the script is completely unusable. We're not following the book literally. In fact, John's going to play the main character, and the main character in the book is like a young, like 17-year-old or 18-year-old, and John's a middle-aged man at this point. And we just want a big Star Wars movie, and it's going to be really fun, and just told me everything I want to hear. And John Travolta was like, he was really good at making me feel really special, and this is going to be a great movie and all of this. And I was very respectful, but I said no. But I was really tempted, because I'm like, this will get made. And this could be a big, fun Star Wars movie, maybe. And it has Travolta. He's very motivated to do this. But I said no. It was really hard. Because at the point, I was feeling like if I don't get something made, no one's going to hire me again. Because you can write some scripts that get close to being made and they don't get made. But at some point, if you've written 5, 6, 7 scripts that haven't actually got made, then at some point people are going to blame you. And I really felt like if I wasn't there, I was getting there. So then it leaves MGM and it goes to Fox 2000. They pick it up, and Laura Ziskin's running Fox 2000. And she was one of the first industry people I ever met, because I was in film school, and she came to speak to us, and I was mesmerized. She's so intelligent, and she's just so amazing, and just feels like she has so much ethics, and was involved in some of my favorite movies. So they, once again, made a run at me, and I had dinner, and I said yes. And Fox 2000, they were very clear, like, this has got nothing to do with Scientology, and it's going to be this kind of a movie, and I felt very secure in saying yes. Now, I want to be clear. My wife said, don't say yes. My agent said, don't say yes. My friend said, don't say yes. My golden retriever, Toby, said, don't say yes, in his own golden retriever way. So everyone else was saying, don't do it, but I did it. And I'm going to come back to why I said yes, the real reason I said yes. I'm going to come back to that. But I said yes. And I got paid a lot of money, and I wrote the script. And 2 or 3 days before I turned the script in, Fox 2000 was out. There was a change with Laura. Anyway, Fox 2000 was out. And the project got picked up by Franchise Films, which isn't a real film company. They're a financing company who has since gotten in a lot of trouble. But so when I turned the script in, there was no studio. There were no executives. It was just John and his producing partner. And as far as I can tell, spiritual advisors came in to fill that void because there's no real record of what the development was at that point because it was no longer a studio movie. And so there were changes to the script that I was not involved in, and then the movie got made. And it had a minuscule budget for the special effects, and it was terrible. And I don't mean to be offensive to anyone who's a Scientologist, but in the industry, that was not seen as a positive. In fact, I went on like a round of meetings for a year after that movie where people just brought me in to see how did this happen and are you a Scientologist? Everyone wanted to know if I was a Scientologist, which I am not. And so, yeah, so basically once you turn a script in, you don't own that script. You have no control over the changes. If it's a studio film, there's going to be a record of the developmental changes. There was no record. Nobody, well, some people know. I have no idea who, I've heard rumors, but I have no idea who rewrote it and why. But they rewrote it back to the book. And then John, for some reason, decided instead of playing the 17-year-old character, he was going to play the space alien. He was going to play like this giant space alien, which I don't think was probably the best choice. So anyway, the movie was just a complete unmitigated disaster. And I remember I was in Vegas when it came out. I was so depressed because I was like, that's it, my writing career is over. I was actually secretly a little relieved, but I was mostly depressed. I remember talking to my agent who like talked me off the ledge, and he's like, people in this industry know what happened, and they are not gonna hold this against you. And your career is not over. It's gonna be a little more challenging, but your career is not over. If this ever happens again, your career is over, but you can survive this one. And again, I think I was just so blessed and fortunate. I continued to work as a writer at my full quote with heads of studios, major directors for 4 more years. Like, it should have ended my career. I was fortunate that I had a track record of writing scripts that had attracted major elements that almost got made, didn't get made. So I had that. So people were willing to say, okay, this was an unmitigated disaster. We're not going to hold this one against you. And I got to keep working. I think if I was a newer writer without that track record, it would have been over for me. But I want to sort of back up because all of that kind of divorces me of a lot of the responsibility. It's sort of like, okay, I knew I shouldn't say yes, but I said yes. And then right before I turned the script in, the studio backed out, and it was Franchise Films, and all of that's true. But I want to back up. After the Ridley Scott deal happened, an agent, Barbara Dreyfus, who was an agent at the time, she wasn't my agent, but she was such a good person that she took me out to lunch, even though I wasn't her client. And she said, Corey, the script that you wrote to get your career and the script you wrote for Metropolis that Ridley's going to make now is not the most important script of your career. The most important script of your career is the next script that you write. Because now you're on the radar. Now people know who you are. This next script will seal your fate. This next script will put you on a trajectory. What career do you most want? And that's what the script needs to be. People are going to offer you a lot of money to write scripts that you don't want to write. You have to say no. You will be scared that the offers will slow down and they may not come. You have to take that risk. The offers won't slow down. Worst case, everyone offers a script, everyone offers you a project to write and you don't want to write it. You say no to everything. And worst case, they stop offering you things. Write a spec. You have to write the script that you most want to write, that is authentic. You have to write the script that that is going to be a 10 on a scale of 1 to 10. It's got to be exceptional. Because this next script is going to seal your fate. Down the road, if you want to take a project just because you're getting paid an obscene amount of money, you can do that down the road. Not right now. And it was one of those times when she said that, I just got this chill up my spine. I'm like, this is true. I was offered a project, I didn't want to write it, I said no. I was offered another project, I said no. The studio came back and offered me more money. I said no. They came back and offered me a lot more money. I thought about it. I said, do I want to write the script? I absolutely do not want to write the script. I said no. It was really hard. Then they said, we want to meet with you at least. So I went to meet to get the relationship. And in the room, they offered me more money and they talked it all up and they played to my ego. And I said yes. So there I was, I failed this test really early on. And like from that moment on, I was always reacting. I didn't have a center. I was just reacting. I was scared. I just wanted more. I didn't want the deals to end. And I just kept taking deals that in my soul I knew I shouldn't be taking, but I did. And if you do that over time, it's going to lead to Battlefield Earth. If you just keep reacting and you don't find your integrity and your center and you just give your power to the industry and do whatever it takes to keep getting work, it's going to end terribly. I feel like I completely deserved Battlefield Earth. I was just making reactive, fear-based decisions, and that's what it leads you to. And I was able to talk myself into taking that project. Yes, I didn't know Fox 2000 would drop out. I had no idea about franchise films. There was a lot I couldn't foresee, but I knew in my heart that I should say no. And I said yes. So I own that, and I deserve that. I can now look back at it and say it was literally one of the greatest things that ever happened in my life because I was so afraid of rejection. I was so afraid of what other people thought. This movie came out and like, you could imagine looking through the LA Times or the New York Times at the reviews. I mean, they were brutal. I mean, this movie is a punchline to jokes today. I mean, this is considered one of the worst movies of all time. And I am one of the credited writers. And even though most people don't understand how the industry works and what that really means, I am one of the credited writers on one of the worst movies of all time. For me, like, there was no greater sense of rejection or shame. It was beyond what I was most afraid of. Didn't kill me. I came out of it stronger. I came out of it humbled. I came out of it for the first time starting to hear that voice inside me. I started to pay attention to who I was. I started to realize, and then when my father died, I realized life doesn't last forever. And I realized that I'd been living my life making all these fear-based decisions and not saying, who am I and what matters to me and why am I on this planet, and those questions. And that led me ultimately after I worked for 4 years after I wish it was Breaking Bad, Battlefield Earth. I worked for 4 years after that, and then I walked away. And just to be clear, I don't want to make it look like I was at the height of my career and I walked away. The offers were getting harder and harder. They were slowing up. It was getting harder and harder to book a job. I felt like I could squeeze another one out, but I walked away because I didn't want to write. I didn't want to do this anymore. And the one thing that I've loved in life is teaching. And I was teaching at UCLA like once a year for the fun of it when I was writing. And I remember talking to my wife and I'm like, if I could just teach, like, I feel like that's my purpose. And she's like, then that's what you're gonna do. And I was like, well, I can't make, that fear voice was still there. Like, I can't make any money doing that. And she's like, do it. You just spent 10 years doing something for the money and you were miserable. I mean, I weighed like 40 pounds more than this. I treated myself and other people badly. I was so much pain, so much rage. You deserve, we got money in the bank for now. You deserve to pursue just what you love. Just try it. So I did. I am so proud. I have 6 teachers now teaching under me. I'm so proud of what we've built over the last 7 years. I'm so proud of everyone who's gone through our program who's now working and selling stuff. And I would never be the teacher I was today if it wasn't for Battlefield Earth. All this talk about process and creative integration, and it all came from that pain that I own. it was my fault that it happened. I said yes when I knew I shouldn't. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me. You know, from that moment on, it's like when I want to make an instinct, or when I have to make a decision, and my instinct is to do this, but I have this fear voice of, well, what would people think, or you could be rejected. It's like, well, it ain't going to be as bad as Battlefield Earth, you know? And I survived that. So yeah, it really softened me, and it really made me like really pay attention to like my instincts and my impulses. And that's allowed me to be the teacher that I am. So I think everything happens for a reason. And I think that I was put on this earth to teach. And Battlefield Earth was a big part of that. And it was a big part of my training to be the teacher that I am. And I remember when I first started teaching, I'm like, well, no one's going to take a class from me. Like, who's going to say, let's take a writing class from the guy who wrote one of the worst movies ever? I can't explain it, but ever since I started, like, my classes are sold out. We have waiting lists. As I said, I have 6 teachers that teach under me. I don't know why, but I think people, it's all referral based, and I think people realize that what we're teaching, no one else is teaching. We're really teaching people how to change your relationship with writing, how to change your process, and how to become an even better writer than you knew you could be. We're not teaching paradigms and rules, we're actually teaching people how to be writers. So, sorry if I over-answered your question,
No.
but if there's anything else that you're curious about in terms of Battlefield Earth, I'm happy to answer it.
Don't you think it's almost better to have someone who's gone through so many ups and downs teach something, rather than somebody who's either flatlined or, yeah, it's been just nothing but successes? Well, how's somebody gonna always, I mean, because most people's careers are never just a straight line. It's not.
Yes, I agree. And I mean, so first of all, I feel, so, and just the danger of over-answering it, I think what I do uniquely as a teacher is that I can help writers recognize their process. Either you're in charge of your process or your process is in charge of you. And for so many creative people, they're not fully aware and responsible for their process. They're not in charge of their process. And I'm really good at working with writers to figure out like where their pain and fear is, and where they have an unhealthy relationship, and where it's sabotaging them, and what they can do to get to heal that and to evolve their process to become a much better writer. And part of it is the whole time I was writing, I was obsessed with process. I talked to every successful writer, every unsuccessful writer, but particularly successful writers, and I wanted to know, what's your process? What's your process? Because I thought if I could figure out the right process, I could heal myself. I could change my relationship with writing. It was really painful to know I was getting paid a lot of money and I was writing something, but I was never even close to my potential. Like, I knew I was so much better than I was limiting myself to be. So I was always looking for a better process. And it never helped me. I couldn't overcome my demons. But I have an encyclopedic knowledge of writer processes. So when I work with writers, I think especially because I fought so hard against my demons and I never actually overcame them, I think I'm really attuned to people's fight with their demons. And so when I first started teaching, to be perfectly honest, I taught to get out of the house. I taught because I was lonely as a writer. I taught because it was fun. I taught because I wanted to be a stand-up, so at least it was sort of a way of performing. But the real reason I was teaching is I wanted to help people evolve their process, heal their process. I want to teach people how they could reach their full potential, because I figured if I could do that for someone else, then I would know how to do it for myself. And what I found is I'm really good at doing it for other people, and I can't do it for myself. So yes, to wrap back to your question, I think there are people who just know nothing but success. They're really smart. I think they can give really good feedback on a script. I think they're really smart and they can really be beneficial. But often, in terms of process, they don't even know. They're doing things without knowing they're doing it. And they can't always empathize or connect with people who are struggling in certain ways. So yeah, I think the fact that in some ways, I did 19 for-hire studio projects. I worked with great people. I got really close on some projects. I made good money. In some ways, I was very successful. In terms of credits and Battlefield Earth and enjoying writing and feeling like I was writing the best of my potential, I was a failure. So I feel like I was both successful and a failure, depending on how you want to look at it. And I do think that really helps me as a teacher, because I can work with someone who's brand new, who's really struggling, as we know why they're struggling. And I work right now with a lot of showrunners who are so amazing, but they just want to get that much better. So I can use all of that collective experience. And I think that in a lot of ways, I think my writing career was there to launch my teaching career. I just didn't know it at the time. It is, yeah.